My name is Gabriel Sanchez. I'm the CEO and managing attorney at Sanchez Accident Lawyers, and I'm here with our junior associate Ozzie Peña, who's going to be joining us today on our podcast, where we'll be discussing the perspective from being a law student to becoming an attorney and what's his experience been so far as a first-year litigation attorney. What do you think's like the biggest? Like you're like, it just like, man, this is like changed my game a lot. Like I see things differently, like as far as like being a lawyer at the firm.
I think the biggest thing here that has really kind of changed my perspective in being a lawyer is that, the people here really care, right? Sometimes, when you feel a little bit of a burnout, you kind of lose motivation, right?
Yeah.
But when I talk to some of my coworkers or some of the other attorneys, right, they always provide me with a fresh reminder that like, hey, like, we really need to do this because there's someone's life on the line, right? And so that really brings me back to my original purpose and why I'm here, right? And so that keeps me grounded. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me to, just fight a lot harder for our clients. And so, that's honestly like the biggest thing that sticks out to me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on at the firm too, is that, I think we all come from good families. Eric comes to a good family, Catholic homes. And, we're really, when things can kind of get difficult, we always think, okay, ultimately what's best for the client? What are we going to do? And not necessarily, sometimes the best thing to do is to try the case. Sometimes the best thing is to settle it, So, my own team reminds me of that too sometimes. Like, it's not about us. It's not about you. It's about the team and about the client and what's going to be best for them. So
I think you hit it right on the head. And, it's very important, right? Because it's easy for us, right, as like attorneys to just get tired and not want to, finish whatever motion we have on our desk and push it to later. But ultimately, right, if we do it right now, this pushes the case forward, which brings a good result to the client.
Yeah, definitely. You settled some big files over here, man. So what's the one you felt the most proud of so far? Like, where you're like, man, like, I made that happen, and I kind of shocked yourself.
That's a difficult question, man, because I've had a lot of good results here, and I'm proud of all of them, right? The small ones and the big ones.
Yeah.
But I think the one that sticks out the most is the trip and fall with the difficult liability issue, right, at the CVS or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm really proud about that one, right? Because just trip and falls, right? They're really sensitive to liability. They're always going to deny everything, and
very true. Yeah.
In this case in particular, right, the actual sidewalk elevation or increase on the ledge was extremely small. Like it wasn't even an inch. And long story short, right, they were arguing that it was a trivial defect. I had to go like deep into Westlaw to find like what I could argue, and it took a while, and I ultimately did find something, but I knew I was fighting uphill, right? And we were facing an MSJ, and luckily, right, I did give him some solid pushback, which ultimately led to a pretty nice settlement for the client. And so just all that hard work, right, that I was able to do and bring some good news to our client who was injured, to me, that brought a lot of joy to my heart.
How much was that? It's fine. We can talk about it here.
So yeah, we settled it for $75,000. Before that, there was no offer on the table.
Yeah.
She had pretty high medical bills, right? And so I think when we were talking to her, she was telling us how she just wanted like 10 grand. Or whatever. And I was like, 10 grand, like, let me see what I could do. But,
I'll tell you what, man. And it's funny because I know you have higher dollar amount results here, and I've had stuff like that too. But some of the stuff you feel most proud of, man, is the ones that case was really difficult to like work up, to argue, and you still made the result happen from nothing. And me and Eric always say this, like the mark of a good lawyer isn't getting a big settlement on a good case, clear liability.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that for the most part. You get, if someone that's got rear-ended, serious injuries, big insurance, you're gonna get a good result. Some attorneys can get more than others, but if you can make something happen when the chips are stacked against you or the cards are stacked against you and force a settlement, that's where you cut your teeth. That's where you learn.
Right.
It's those tough ones that really show what you're made of.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
then you get the other cases, you're gonna like, I can do this.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. I think that case really gave me
Yeah.
the confidence to
Yeah.
keep fighting on these other cases,
Mhm.
right? And obviously the other ones weren't as like tough, but
Yeah.
the knives were sharpened already to go harder.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as like, tell me about the pressure. I think people probably don't talk about this a lot when you're a first year associate. You're part of a growing firm, which you're growing here. Where you probably have more that could be expected of you here than a firm that's really established in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that might be true, might not. But I think like, what are some of the things you're like, man, like this is something I didn't see when I was in law school. The pressure of in law school, there's the bar exam, right? And there's like
Right.
the finals. When you're practicing in law, it's a different type of stress.
Yeah.
What is it different about the stress you feel now back before you were in law school?
I think as an attorney, the biggest stressful factor is knowing what you don't know.
Yeah.
Especially as a first year attorney. There's just so much, right? And there's only so much you can do to, try to know or research or catch up with like the other attorneys who are a little bit more established.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's definitely a big thing. Luckily, we have a lot of, experienced attorneys like you and Eric that I can just come by and ask questions. So that's really helpful. But another thing too, right, is just being able to bring results.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, right, that's part of the job. And so, like you said, the firm is growing, and so I'm a first year attorney, a first generation attorney, right? Yeah. So I want to, do well. I want to bring results. I want to put myself on the map, right? I want to grow with the firm. And so it's a mix of a lot of different things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with me too, when I was coming out of law school and going to I think it's what the reality check sets in. Where in law school you're reading about cases, right? And it's all fact, it's all theory, but when it becomes real when you're in the firm. It's like, oh, this is someone's real life here. So I think for me that was one of the things that I like the wake up call. It's like, okay, now I know why they made law school so demanding. Why is the bar exam tough like it was, and it's because that's how it's gonna be in the real world. So
exactly, and in the real world, they're not going to tell you, what are the issues, right? And so you kind of have to either go and find out or go and do some research, right? And so it's similar to the bar in that sense. So I agree. I think the bar exam definitely prepares you for these situations.
Now Eric was making me laugh with the PMK deposition. And he said, "Man, Ozzie came in, he called me up, he was panicking. Oh, this guy, they brought some guy, the PMK deposition doesn't know what he's doing." And me and him were laughing. I'm like, man, you gotta let him wrestle through it. Because I'm like, that's how you learn though, man. Like it's kind of like we're there to guide you. And then but you're also like, man, let him fight through it, man. let
him feel the burn a little bit. Let him find his way out of here.
Yeah, but that's how it is. And you gotta remember too that we're not going to give you, we're going to give you, there's cakes, the stakes are high at everything we do, but also like, we're giving you cases that we're like, okay, we want you to learn, and you're not going to burn down the house, if you do something, everyone's going to make mistakes, and right now we're giving you those opportunities to make those mistakes on some of the files you have and stuff too. It happens, man. We're going to all do it. We still do it.
Yeah.
But as you learn, once your skills the confidence gets up and the skills are there, then it's like, okay, like, you're coming in on the wrongful death case, the catastrophic injury, and those ones are like, okay, we really the margin for error is very small, so but that's how you learn. Coming into a firm as a first year like this, it's growing. You're handling files, man.
Yeah.
You're learning how to be a lawyer right now.
Yeah.
So but no, that's it's awesome to kind of see when you first came on, and now I'm like, oh, this guy knows. He's kind of, I see him a little bit now.
No, I appreciate it, man. Honestly, just the experience has been great. Kind of like you said, I'm getting a lot of experiences here that at other firms probably wouldn't be, viable opportunities. Yeah. And so it's been amazing, man. Just having a direct impact on cases and people's lives. Yeah, no, that's good stuff. That's probably another big factor on the pressure part.
Yeah, yeah. With other firms though, I think that's the cool thing about being at a smaller, growing firm like that is you're going to have those responsibilities, because the more experience you get, the more value you become. If I can tell my younger self that, I would have been like, you're going to be, you're going to be a multimillionaire. I can guarantee that. Yeah. But the focus right now is getting in the game and getting experience. So that's what, and then eventually you're going to see a case, you're gonna see it like, man, this is easy. Let me just pick up the phone, call this guy, and settle this thing.
Yeah, at a younger age, it's tough, right? Because you just got a law school, you got a degree, you're an attorney, you're maybe in debt, maybe not, but ultimately you're just hungry to make money, right? And so it's one of those things you have to balance.
But yeah, the focus when you're a young attorney, man, is just getting those reps in and getting it done. You're gonna be, I always tell people, if you're a decent attorney, man, you're gonna do really well for yourself. It's a matter of time and stuff too. So,
how long did it take you to get to that point where you felt like, okay, I'm experienced, I know how to handle cases, and just get good results?
I was fortunate that when I got out of there was a bad recession going on when I got out of law school, and I got into a firm. It was a commercial litigation firm. They did insurance defense there too. And I was 25, and I got in. I was fortunate to get into this firm. Yeah, I was getting like $45,000 a year. Yeah, and that's my first year as a lawyer. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, this was like probably 2013 or something like that. But I had an opportunity to learn, and like I remember they gave me cases, and I was working on big commercial litigation files, an associate. Like I had a managing partner that I worked under and stuff, but like that taught me, working there for 2 years, and I didn't get paid. I think I maxed out there like $55,000. Like that taught me like just everything. It just gave me so much confidence. So when I went to my next firm job, it was an insurance defense firm. And there I was making about 70,000. This is like 2013, 2014, something like that. I just like, it was just like the stress. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. And so with older attorneys would try to like bully me. And I'm like, I already been through this, man. Like, I wasn't scared of anything.
Yeah.
So when I started the practice, I was about your age. I was about 29. I just knew what I was doing.
Right.
And like, so when I wasn't afraid to file lawsuits. I wasn't like, when the older attorneys would try to like intimidate me.
Yeah.
I kind of just like, I knew how to handle it.
Right.
So that's my first firm job, taught me a lot of those skills. So there was a lot of value in kind of just getting thrown into a place that I got to learn like that too.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, even though I felt comfortable with, filing my own lawsuits, handling my cases, it took me like, I would say 10 years or no, I would say, I would say like a good 8 to 10 years for all of this makes sense now, because, I didn't have a lot of trial experience when I was younger. So now I just see it. Like I know, I see it all connects. Like for me, it kind of makes sense now.
Yeah.
When you're younger, you're still like, you think why you're doing it, but until you actually go through trials and you get all this experience, you kind of realize what's important, what's not as important, and how do I get the result I can get without like me, it's like learning the art of fighting without fighting. It's what I always tell people. Like, I know how to like get what I need without forcefully doing it. So I'm part of I watch your channel. I watch your emails, and I'm not criticizing you because I get it. Sometimes I'm like, man, dude, like you're the tone of your email. I'm like, you're like punking this attorney, and I get it because I was doing that stuff too when I was younger, and I'm kind of like, I'm fine, but it's like, with the more experience you get, you realize I'm like, you know how to get the result you want without being aggressive.
Without doing that, yeah.
And then there's a time, there is a time and place, bro. Don't get me wrong, bro. Like I get down. It's just like, is this like really worth it?
Yeah.
Or I just call the freaking attorney up, like, hey, can I just like, come on, man, just work with me. So I think it's because I had my managing partner had a conversation with me when I was I did that same stuff, man, when I was like a 1-year attorney, and he came in, he was like, hey, Gabe, you gotta like, I'm like, yeah, because I get it. We're like so aggressive. We're so hungry to get in there. So it's little things like that. And I'm not putting you on blast or nothing like that. I'm just kind of like, there's little things that you learn that make a difference when you get old, when you get, a long time in.
Yeah.
One thing for younger attorneys too is like, there's a balance, right? You want to go to trial. You want to have a backbone and you want to let them know you're not playing. But at the same time, those guys that you're dealing with, the defense lawyers, those guys are the key to the money that you need for the client.
Right.
So I I don't understand why would anyone want to piss off the guy that has
Mm,
the money and the insurance adjusters. You want
yeah.
to be affirmative, when you say it, assertive in what your
Firm,
position,
assertive, right?
but like those guys, those are probably the most out of all the people. Those are probably the people you want to be cool with the most, because if they like
Yeah.
you, they'll go to bat for like, hey man, just like they'll work with you.
Yeah.
Um, so that's just that's what's gotten me successful in my career.
Yeah.
Um, but that also took a long time to realize, because I
To
wasn't like
get
that for
there.
long. I wasn't like
Yeah.
that either at one point.
Yeah. I
So,
think that's very correct.
hmm
I think my issue is two things though, right?
hmm
Like I get really excited
hmm
when they come off with some,
yeah,
argument that I may or may not know it's
hmm
wrong, and I just get so excited to just
yeah,
jump on it, right?
hmm
And then the other thing too is that sometimes I'm just too paranoid, right? Like I'm
yeah,
not sure if I really believe these defense attorneys saying like, "Hey, like
hmm
I talked to the adjuster, he's not trying to do it,"
hmm yeah,
Obviously, right? It's my lack of
that,
experience that kind of gives me these
hmm
like weird
hmm
questions or doubts or and
hmm
whatnot. But it's something that I'm working on, something I'm trying to figure out,
No, yeah. Well, it's like I said, I'm not. It's not those things. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm just sharing my experience of how it is. But yeah, I hear you. Like there's a balance with it too.
Mm.
But yeah, it's funny seeing that, because I kind of like watching you guys. Like, see this guy. So that one depot, when you came back, Eric was laughing. I'm like, what happened? He's like, man, they showed up with like some nobody at the deposition. He was stressing out. I'm
Straight up, man. Literally some like
like,
21-year-old who just graduated college.
yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you're the PMK, bro? What's going on here?
Oh yeah.
Like, I think at some point we were like joking, and he was like, so I'm really under oath, huh? I'm like, yup. And he goes, so I gotta tell the truth. I'm like, yup. And he's like, to anything you ask. I'm like, yup. And then after that, right, I was like, because he was talking about how he just came back from like lifting weights.
Yeah.
I was like, so are you natty, bro? And he started laughing. He was like, yes, I am 100% natural.
That's funny.
No
Right?
steroids over here. I'm like, all right, man, just remember, you're under oath.
Yeah. That's
But I
funny.
had to have fun with it, man, because this guy, obviously was just doing whatever.
Yeah, and the defense attorneys know too. Like they want to.
Mm.
I had so many experiences as a young attorney too, where like that were just trying to punk me.
That's
They were
exactly
totally
what's
just
going
trying to punk
on.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you just kind of gotta go roll with it though, and then like go through it, because then you later on you're not intimidated anymore.
Mm.
I had guys do a bunch of when you're younger attorney, you try to pull off stuff and try to scare you and shit. They're just they'll. I had one person. Oh, you signed this under penalty of perjury. He was trying to scare me as a junior attorney, as a
Damn.
verification I saw. It's some weird stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, once you just if you just follow the law and the rules, you don't have to worry about it, that stuff.
Okay,
So tell
yeah.
me what your experience has been. We don't have to talk about like, what firms you worked before, but like, where do you see, like, what has your experience been with like some of the transition? I know from my understanding, the previous firm you're at, it was very compartmentalized. You only are doing one thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about what's going on now here?
What I love about just working at this firm is that I have direct
Yeah.
control
Yeah.
as to each stage of the
Mhm.
case in
Yeah.
litigation, at least,
Yeah.
right? And so I get to get a lot of
Yeah.
experiences
Yeah.
with like complaints, with discovery, with motions, right? It's really making me into a well-rounded attorney. Whereas at other firms, they
Mhm.
had a specific team for discovery, or a team for discovery responses, or a team for motions, right? And granted, like I get it that that works for their business model,
Mhm.
but for me as an attorney, right, it just doesn't help me become better or a more well-rounded attorney. So I love that here I'm doing everything,
Mhm.
right? And so it helps me with skills, but it also helps me with just like strategy and
Mhm.
just having
Yeah.
kind of building a roadmap to
Yeah.
each case,
Yeah.
as to how I want to attack it and whatnot.
No, exactly. And that's cool you mentioned that, because it's true. I don't. That's how I learned like you too. Is my first firm wasn't like that. There was no
Mm,
system. It was just like a growing firm, and I was like, here's my cases, and I had a little guidance on it. But that's how you learn, because if you're at a firm that's has different departments for filing, discovery, then you're just gonna get real good at one thing. It feels like.
mm,
So
yeah,
when you have all this, you have to do everything.
yeah,
Then it's just like what you're doing, and the more important thing is what someone else is doing their job or not.
yeah, exactly.
So so someone can't BS you and say, oh yeah, I countered it. It's like, no, I know how to counter. Like, I don't see it here,
Mm,
or once you know how to do from A to Z, you can
It's
have,
easy to
when you have the
verify
right,
someone
when
else's.
you have the right support team, you
Yeah.
know what to do. When stuff hits the fan, say your
Mm.
paralegal's out and you're without a paralegal or without someone else, like, you know what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I started the practice, I had to learn how to file lawsuits and all this stuff, and
Mm.
I knew how to draft lawsuits and I knew how to do discovery and depositions, but to actually like the filings, I didn't really do that because I had
Yeah.
paralegals. So
Yeah.
when I started the practice, I had to do all that stuff, and then
Yeah.
then when I hired the first paralegal, I was like, I know, like I had, I know what I'm doing. I know this is filed right or whatever stuff. So that's good. There's a lot of pros to being able to do everything.
A lot of pros. I would
Yeah.
recommend that to any first year.
Yeah.
Even if you're at a reputable firm, right? At the end of the day, like, it's cool. Sure, you could add that to your resume, but you're gonna be lacking in skills, and you want to be a well-rounded attorney. You want to know every stage of a case.
Yeah. And you get thrown into the fire at a growing firm because they need the capacity, they need people. So
Yeah.
they're like, you're in, man. You're gonna get in there. So you're already around. You might not be handling like some of the wrong, the government case, but you're gonna be around it enough. You're touching it a little bit, and you're gonna see what it is.
Get some exposure.
Yeah. And then when the trials get down, they'll be everyone's on deck when the trial happens. Everyone's gonna help out somehow too.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
Yeah,
cool,
that's
man.
just an added bonus for me, man. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously I'm interested in trials, but yeah, the fact that I
Yeah.
get just a little bit,
Yeah.
just to see a little bit of that,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Tell me, like, what is it about? Like, where do you see yourself? Like, in what kind of career do you want in 5-10 years? Do you want to focus on? Do you want to just do a lot of trials, or what's your career goals?
That goal changes every
Yeah.
time I think about it, to be honest. Like, initially, right, and early on from graduating law school, I wanted to be a trial lawyer. I just wanted to do trials, and
Yeah.
I still have that goal, but the way I'm seeing it, right, is if you can settle the case for its value, that's better because you're getting the full payment right up front, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the way I'm seeing it, I want to be able to, be at a point where I'm extremely skilled to litigate a case, right? To be able to sell it for its value.
Yeah.
But if not, also have the capacity to take it to trial, right? And if I'm taking, 2 trials a year or 10, right, depending on the case and whatnot, that would make me happy, right? Because I'm doing my job as an attorney, right? So for me, I'm not really trying to like put myself in a box per se, but I want to be a well-rounded attorney and bring good results, right? Whatever that looks like. But ultimately, I think the goal is to be like a skilled attorney.
Yeah, definitely. And that's good that, if you do it's not just trials is a part of that overall skill, so no, that's good. You're definitely, on the right track for that. I think there's I think coming out of law school, like there's just, like you said, you see the media and all this stuff about trials. And then you'll realize that I know more broke trial lawyers than I knew successful ones.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
You don't
agree.
hear about it, like, because we see the big verdicts from people in our industry that we might look up to. But I know there's way more people that have lost and they're not doing that good in trials than are those guys. And I'm not saying this to be negative or like discourage people from trying cases. I just think it's a reality that people don't talk about.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be on both ends of it. I think Eric, I don't know if he shared with you his story, like, his firm, I don't want to say any names, but they went bankrupt
from
trying too many cases.
Yeah.
Like, no one talks about that.
Agree. Yeah.
So, there is trials they're you need to do them. I think, when you're in that position where it's like, hey, you know what, this case, the client, and I think they're just devaluing this case, and then we have a strong liability file, and I think we feel good about going to the trial on this thing. You do it, and you do what's best for the client.
Yeah.
If there's a real offer on the table and liability is a little iffy, like, you might want to have those discussions with your client too.
Yeah.
So I love trials. I think they're good to do. I just think you have to really think about have the client. It's really their choice when it comes down to it.
Right.
And you gotta just be real with them. A lot of lawyers just sell it to, oh, we gotta go trial because they want to do it. But really, like, what's best for the client? Because You may think you have a strong case. You may think liability is clear, and you may think it's all lined up. It really doesn't matter what you think.
Right.
It matters what the jury thinks.
Yeah.
And the jury's got different things going on in their head.
You got 12 different brains.
You have liability. Oh yeah, I got a good case. Well, you think you do. It's really about the jury, and sometimes they see things differently than us.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just one of those things. Like I believe that anytime you step into the courtroom, I feel like you won already. I'm like, you know what? You're putting your case. You can't control the outcome. You do your best to put on your evidence and tell your story, but really it's in their hands.
Yeah.
And you know, no one talks about that.
Yeah.
No one talks about, you know, all the good stuff. But I know a lot of
all the bad stuff, right?
I know a lot of people. But I think I'm real with that stuff. People, I see it. I don't know. I know guys that call me up to lose. They don't talk about it. Damn. They don't post it on social media.
Yeah.
But
you know, like they should though, because there is this kind of like maybe misleading.
Yeah.
Not delusion, but like there is some type of illusion there, right?
Well, they want you to sit in their business. That's what they want. So, I mean, of course, you want some people to send you your cases you're not going to tell the truth about.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, you're going to highlight all the good stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You're selling yourself.
It's a good business model, yeah.
Yeah, but Eric will tell you, he'll agree with me, you learn more from your losses than your wins big time. Like, you know, some of the ones that you poured your heart and soul into and you didn't get the result you want. Man, I've learned so much from that. That's like I'm never gonna make that move. Or
right.
So, you know, those L's teach you how to get to the
unforgettable
the next level.
lessons.
You'll learn. Because if you win, you're I knew I was the shit. I'm good. Yeah, you know, that validates with your ego.
Yeah,
it's the losses, and I think Gary Dordick said that when I went to this trial lawyers college a few years ago. It's true. You learn more from losses than your wins. You know?
No, I believe it.
You gotta lose sometimes.
I believe it. I totally believe it. I mean, just some of the mistakes that I've experienced as a litigation attorney, I've never forget. I'll print out the civil procedure code and then highlight the part that I missed and then put it on my wall and then give it to my paralegal and I'll tell all of them, we're not doing this again. Yeah. This is the first and last time. Okay. Yeah. So I believe it. And obviously, right, like, losing a trial is like way worse. And so it's probably like a stronger impact there. But I agree.
What do you like the most about working with Eric as a mentor? Like, what's the most value he's brought to you as a lawyer?
He's very calm and collected, very, very grounded. I'll freak out and then he'll just, explain to me why it's not too much of a big deal and like how we can fix it. Right. So to me, that brings me a lot of peace. But, also another thing, he's experienced, man. He's a 10-year attorney. Yeah. He worked for a really established trial lawyer. Right. So he's seen it all. He has a lot of experience and intuition, and I could come to him and just ask him anything. Yeah. Right. Like even things that like perhaps I read in a magazine that I want to try, I could run it by him and he can tell me perhaps, if it's a good idea or not.
You're running a magazine, man. Oh shit.
But honestly, that's the best part about Eric. Yeah. He'll give me his honest thoughts right there. I don't have to like run somewhere or like wait hours, to ask another person. He's just right there. He'll give me, his thoughts real quickly and then I'll just run with it from there.
Yeah. Definitely, Eric is calm and collected. That's the best thing about him, and he stays. You can come at him with a bunch of energy and intenseness, and he's kind of like just chill, yeah. So that is and Eric. He has been through some battles too with trials, and he sees, like, for me, going to trial at Eric's, it's like it's one of those things like, okay, we know we've been there we've been the war together, like we know we've seen this all, like. And sometimes I was laughing on the last trial we did, and he's looking at me during the motions in limine or jury selection. We're trying to eliminate certain jurors, and we go back and sidebar with the judge and talk to him, and he'd be looking at me like, "What?" I'm like, "Eric, like I'm looking at you, bro. You know what you're doing. I'm looking at you for help. You don't look at me." So yeah, he's a cool guy to go into the thick of it with for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's that's when you have that experience, you get like that. You're kind of like, I'm not worried about that stuff.
Yeah.
You're worried about other things. You're like, I'm worried about, this, and this, but not the little things you can recover from.
Right. Right. What's helpful too, though, is that like, I think we're all around the same generation, right? And we grew up around similar areas. So we just have a really cool and chill vibe.
Yeah,
That's
and the
another thing
Valley
too, right?
kids.
Like we don't have to really use jargon or sound nerdy. We could just be like,
Yeah,
"What's good, bro? What's up with this? Like, I really don't get it," and then Eric would just break it down, right?
yeah,
So I think that's also very helpful.
yeah. Trying to think of some other Eric stories I had with jury trials and stuff, man. Yeah, he's been through some stuff, man. It's funny hearing his stories too. I remember before he worked with us, man. I would run into him in the courthouse, and he was getting ready for trial and stuff, and yeah. So we both. I think we both have like we're both like we love and hate trials sometimes, man. Once you get that jury, that's reading that verdict, man. You're just saying like, oh, here we go. Give me those numbers.
Get
So.
the butterflies, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean the thing is, it's crazy because when you're trying cases, like you prepare, right, and then you're there, and they're reading the jury instructions right before opening statements, and for me, it's just like you get these like pitch, you're like, oh, just let me get in there and get this done. You're thinking all this stuff, man. For me personally, like before I doing opening statements, I'm like, oh my god, like. You have all this adrenaline going. You're like, man, what if I gotta what if I puke in front of the jurors? What if I I gotta use the restroom and all this crazy shit. But then once you get in there, you're like, oh, then all the adrenaline goes and you're going.
Yeah.
And then that's like all the anticipation up to the jury, the opening statement is just like torture.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, once you're in it, it's all right, we're in. The game started.
Yeah.
Closing argument is cool. But then once they go back and deliberate, you're like, well, it's out of our hands now. Yeah, so it's cool.
I
man.
can only imagine, man.
We're gonna get into some action this summer, probably. Probably not actually in April. So we'll talk about that stuff. And
yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
I want to see you, Eric. Just do your thing.
Yeah, it's fun, man. When you're going through it, it doesn't feel fun. But then later on, you're like, oh, that was pretty cool.
It's satisfying after there.
Yeah. No matter, you always learn. You always learn after every trial. You learn something about yourself, learn something about your team. And then when you're trying cases with a team too, like if you develop a bond with them.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, okay, you went to war with this guy. Because that's what it is. The trial, you're there 2 weeks at least. You prepped all month before that. And you're stuck with these group of people. Yeah. You're staying in the Airbnb together or whatever. You're just stuck with them for like 2 weeks. And you're like, it's stressful. You guys aren't eating, sleeping that much. So you develop this bond that you have. And then you kind of like a war buddy. You're like, you start getting ready to go again.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's funny with Regina, we always joke, this is before you came on. We're like, man, we kind of like this little clique that you're like developed because they went through the stuff.
The trenches, yeah.
And then, with we had that wrongful death case that didn't go our way. And they call you up and you drive. So let me tell that story. So we tried this really tough wrongful death case and we got defense on it. And looking back on it, I mean, it was a tough case and we had a good offer. Like it was it was a pretty reasonable offer. Mid 6-figure offer, but then we were just like, we did a focus group. We're like, man, they're giving us bigger numbers. So we were like, you know what, we're going to do this. We talked to clients. We made a decision to try the case. Very conservative county. Looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That was more tougher than I expected.
Right.
But it's when you get that result, it's funny laughing about it now. When you're going through it, it's not funny, But so we tried this case, we did our thing, man. And gotta give it to the defense lawyer because he was legit. Like he put up a good fight. But when we went back to we got done with the trial, we we're feeling relieved. Like, you know what? It's in jury's hands. I felt, I was like, I don't know. I felt like 50-50 on it, man. I had things I liked, some things I didn't. And some things went sideways in the trial with some of the witnesses that I felt like that might have hurt us too a little bit. But we get ready. We're like, oh man, this we'll come back tomorrow. We'll probably they'll probably home with the deliberation results tomorrow. So then we're like, okay, we feel relieved. We get back to our Airbnb, unchanged. We're about to go to the gym. Like, then go to the gym. We'll go, get some dinner and chill out. Man, like within an hour of us leaving the courthouse, we go to the an Orange Theory Fitness or something in Modesto. And we get a call from the clerk, and she's like, "Okay, we got a verdict." And me and Eric look at each other like, "We're cooked. We're cooked, bro. We're cooked."
Yeah,
so we go back. We're like, "Oh, we knew, man. That's not good." Like, right when you get a deliberation of an hour and a half, something like that. So then we go back, we go pick up Regina at the Regina's getting all relaxed, dude. She's like, Regina, put your suit. Yeah, man, we all gotta get our suits back on so we get changed again. Dude, that from driving the Airbnb to the courthouse, it must have been like 3 miles. That felt like an hour drive. I'm sitting there like it was just quiet.
Everyone's sweating bullets.
Like going to the elevator. It's like walking. It felt like walking to your execution.
Oh man, that's so the worst.
So we go to the courthouse, man. We're there. The judge is there. The defense lawyer's there. They call the jury in. We're like, oh, we're done. It felt like you're like that. It felt like you got like this. Put up on the wall and shot with your team.
Everyone lined up right here.
So we had 12-0 negligence. They all thought there was negligence. So we were like, okay, but then we knew like the causation, the substantial factor. They said no on it. Like I think we had, I don't know if it was 4-8 or something, but
I'll be honest though, that's a complicated.
It was a complicated case because we're trying to blame. What I've learned with that is like wrongful death cases. Someone told me they're harder, and I always thought, well, the facts are there, not but it's true because jurors, I believe that they see wrongful death cases as almost like murder cases. You're trying to blame someone for the death of someone else. So even though you tell them the burden of proof is the preponderance of the evidence, I feel like they hold you to a higher standard still.
Right.
So so you really have to have your evidence dialed in. And in that case, we had a client that was, I can talk in general with it. She jaywalked, and then another, she got dropped off. She paid for a ride from San Diego, Calexico to Northern California, and she didn't get to her destination properly. She got dropped off at the wrong location. She jaywalked and got hit by a car and died.
Oh, wow.
So we sued the transportation company because we said, if there's a law in California, if I pay you for a ride somewhere, I got to get to my destination safely.
Right.
And we argued that this was foreseeable because she got dropped off in an area she didn't know. There's no gas station or restaurant open for her to use the restroom. So that's what we learned. She was trying to use the restroom. So it's a sad case, but the juries they're like, we thought they were negligent for dropping them off at the wrong location or using a guy that was. They thought because it was an unlicensed driver and stuff that was transporting her.
Yeah.
But they're like, it's just the jaywalking. They were like, she jaywalked, and we don't really know. There was unclarity on the time she got dropped off and the time that she actually got hit by the car. There wasn't a good timeline because we didn't have the video evidence.
Yeah.
So, they didn't find causation.
Yeah.
But I think the story you learn is that you got to really give jurors the video evidence they want. You got to really tie it up. You have to
spell it out.
You got to do what you can because sometimes it's not there. We didn't have the evidence they wanted.
Yeah. But causation is always complicated, man. Like I remember just as a law student trying to argue that on an essay, like it's so hard to really like thoroughly and like succinctly like explain it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine an average person who didn't go to law school to like really understand it, you know?
Yeah.
That's tough, man. But that's so sad though that
Yeah, those are the memories you get and you build those to your team. Because then when the next victory comes, it makes the victories that much better.
Right.
When you have those. You gotta go through both of them.
Yeah.
Right. So what advice would you give to someone considering to join like a scaling firm like this? I know you're town a lawyer, you had your options and you chose us, but when and there's challenges that there's pros and cons to join a scaling firm, right? What advice would you give like a junior attorney? It's like, okay, if you're joining a firm that's growing, like be prepared for like what type of challenge as far as like,
what it comes down to this with a scaling firm is that everything is, flexible. So you have to be just as flexible to adapt. That's really what comes down to it. But I would tell the person, right, like what are your goals and do your goals align with the firm? And if it is a scaling firm, right, are you flexible? Are you adaptable? Right? Are you able to just move around and still like fit in and figure it out? Ultimately, you have to be extremely resourceful. If you're not, you're going to have to learn. If that's a problem, then you're probably not going to last very long, right? And so on top of that, right, in being resourceful, right, like I would recommend them to, just read books, read articles, start reading the Rudder Guide, right? Because a lot of those things, they may not directly correlate, but you'll learn a lot of things that are relevant to just litigating cases. And when you do face issues, you would be able to remember some of the things that you did read, right? So in a nutshell, that's really what it would be.
Yeah.
You know, just telling them to be flexible, be resourceful, and you know, just be able to figure things out.
Yeah. Like you said, one thing I liked about you when we were interviewing is like you were like, I read this book, I read that book, and that I'm like, that's all good stuff. You know, obviously the practice and like the experience, like it makes all that stuff make sense. But it's true. I was looking, you know, on our government entity case, I was looking at stuff on Westlaw and all the new technology they have, the AI research and stuff, and reading articles, finding journals on that stuff, because that's important. You know, that will give you a little more guidance on what you're trying to do or validate what you're. If you're not sure where you're going, you can always go to that and like see if you're in the right direction. So especially
exactly.
ChatGPT now, it's crazy that you can help with that too.
Exactly, it helps actually guide ChatGPT to the right kind of not source, but like just the right area. It's not always accurate, but if you're able to guide it to the right area, you can use that to verify whether it's right or not, and then you'll have your answer. Yeah, you know, but it's like knowing what you don't know, right? And so if you don't know, like ChatGPT won't be that helpful. But if you're like reading things here and there, right, that are credible, then you'll be able to lock it down. Yeah.
All right. One more thing, man. What's the most newbie thing you've done? Like where it was like, man, like you look back on it now, because you've been practicing about a year now. You've been here what, 6 months?
6, 7, yeah.
Yeah. So what is the thing now? You're like, yeah, I can't. I did some my newbie stuff, or like, you know, you just, you know, where you're like, I can't believe I can tell you, I know for sure. I think your first depo you prepared, I was like, I was laughing. I told Eric, like, Eric, you gotta like, he's gotta go talk to this guy, man. So I remember when you're prepping this client, you went through like every freaking objection that could happen. Like it was like an evidence code in treaties, man. And I was like, the client was like sitting there like, yeah, and I'm like, I was like, this guy is not following you, man. So I had to stop you. I do. It comes from a good place. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I was like, yeah, he don't just tell him the basics. Just tell him like, you know, if I tell you not to talk, just don't talk. And you know, you may hear me object to the form of a question. Yeah. You went through like a half an hour, and I'm like, all right, I gotta stop this, man. Well, that was funny.
Let me tell you, man. That one's it. That's the biggest one right there.
You were talking like you gave a law school treatise on evidence code to the client, man. He was sitting there like, yeah, and I'm like, these guys not following, man.
Yeah, no, that was hilarious, man. I'm glad he stepped in though, because I learned 2 things, right? Yeah. I learned one, okay, you could be really transparent with your client, right? That was really helpful, because from that point I just started doing that more. Yeah. The second thing was like, okay, maybe you know, maybe these objections aren't too important for them to know, right? Because I mean, I obviously like I read this somewhere where you know, the book or whatever was saying like, you know, it's very important to go over the objections with them, because you know, if they understand what you're objecting to, then that may help them give them a right response.
Yeah, that's like, a good point.
Okay. Yeah. But then the other part though was that, you know, I was thinking, well, if I object, like this guy might freak out or something. He might think something's wrong. Yeah. So that I connected my thought process with what that book said. Yeah. And then I merged it, and that's why I started doing that. But then I realized really quickly that, you know, it didn't really have a direct impact, or it wasn't like the impact wasn't that big, right? So, man, that whole thing was hilarious.
I think what was cool about the deposition though, with the prep, because I was listening. Your whole the whole prep with the medical was good, because you were talking about like, hey, you walk them through their treatment, remind them where they went, like what the doctors diagnosed you with, the referrals, because that stuff they need a little, you know, the defense lawyers scrutinize all the records and everything. Right. So that was good, but I remember the whole thing. I was like, Ozzie, you can cut that down like 2 minutes, man. Just tell them to listen to you, and you're gonna hear this, and you're gonna hear that. Don't let it bug you. But yeah, that was funny. That one.
No, that's what I do now, man.
Yeah, well, it cuts down your prep for like cuts it down like an hour and a half.
Definitely. I went down from 3.5 hours to like maybe 1.5 to 2.
Yeah, but I used to do the same stuff when I was when I used to, you know, defend depositions and stuff, and I get into it with the attorneys, man. I was just like, and then you realize when you go through trials, you're gonna be like. Because the whole purpose of the deposition is you want them to get their testimony out. You want to protect what's privileged, and you know, but like, you know, what's important. when you're in trial, there's certain things that you don't want. Those some of those objections are important because you don't want that evidence getting in,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or just at least that when there's a motion to eliminate before you go to trial, you can cite like, hey, I made an objection here, like on that issue, or the motion for summary judgment when you're using transcripts in the deposition, you can some of the objections you mark there, you know. So it has its benefit. There's you want to make sure the questions are formed. There's a good form to it, but as far as like them knowing the evidence, like knowing everything, it goes past their head, you know. Sometimes. But well, cool, man. Well, I'm glad you got to spend some time on the podcast, getting this thing up and running again. It's been great having you at the firm, and it's cool seeing you develop into the attorney you are, man. So thanks for being here, and looking forward to getting you on some cases to help out when we go to trial soon. So.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. Both on the podcast and the team.
Yeah,
I think you guys have had a direct impact on my growth, so I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to these trials, man. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's only beginning, brother. It's you got a lot. You're gonna from here to the end of the year, you'll be another lawyer already. Yeah. So you'll see it.
It's crazy though how fast time goes and just how much more of a better attorney you become with just month to month.
Yeah. Definitely.
Every day you learn something new.
Oh yeah, definitely. And me and Eric talk about like we always joke around about black belts and stuff. And I said like me and Eric are on the same page. It's like, okay, a black belt, it's not like you know everything. It's when you realize you don't know anything. And then and I love saying that. It's like, I was a philosophy major, but I'm like the minute you realize that you don't know anything is the minute you like become better.
Yeah.
So I think when we're at a law school, and for all the young people in law school or the ones that are just barely coming into the bar, it's one of those things like you have to like just learn, people open mind, and like learn from people. And then because when you shut yourself down and you think you know it all, like it really hurts your learning. Like I've been a lawyer for 2012. Shit, man, it's 2025, 14 years. It made sense like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I still am learning more. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I'm gonna always learn. But I think when you realize that you're just scratching the surface of it, that's when you just changes your game. I see things differently. Like I look at a case and I'm like, it's weird. Like I see the big picture and I'm like, what? I don't get stressed out on little things on that anymore. I'm kind of looking at like you see the punches coming right now. Like the Matrix. Like the Matrix where you see the punches.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I already know what they're gonna do. Like this is where they're going.
Yeah.
But that took years.
Yeah.
And like and it gets more strategic as you get like really experienced. It's more like it's really strategic now, and you learn how to get the result you want by playing chess. You don't get worried about like the little stuff, but you have to go through that. So
I love the analogy you gave though, the punches thing. I've heard that before. From what's his name? An older attorney. Dylan Dordick. He would tell me like, your first 5 years, man, they're gonna punch you left and right. It's okay, but after that, you're gonna see them come in, and it's gonna be like kind of like the. You gotta get your ass beat for a while before you do that. We didn't get like that by just man. We get kicked in the mouth a lot before you. Once you eventually you're gonna get good. Yeah. when you get beat I certainly hope so.
When you get beat up a lot, man, you're gonna learn. Oh, I see that one coming. But yeah, man. But yeah, thanks, Ozzie. Thanks for coming on, brother. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate it.